right, Dr. Lori, you know what this means if you're here. Yes. You were looking so good that I thought you were just a still photo.
Really?
All right, so Sharon, mute for a second. And Dr. Lori, honored to have you. Dr. Lori is our newest member of Angels Are Networking, and we're already developing such a great friendship that I'm really glad to be having with you. I look forward to having you continue to be a member of this organization next 2 to 3 years, like our other founding members that are on here. So introduce yourself to us, Dr. Lori, and please let the folks know on the call how they can benefit and help reduce some of this stress and depression that's taken over, especially in the world of this COVID.
So thank you. I'm thrilled to be here as well, Charmaine, with everybody. This is fabulous. And of course, I want to say that when I was on from the beginning and the moment my people came on, like our group, I had to go to the bathroom and they're like, where are you? And I'm like, of course, of all times, right? So my name is Dr. Lori Monaco. I'm also known as the Badass Buddha for good reason, but we won't get into that. We don't have that kind of time. But I am a chiropractic physician. I have been a physician for 22 years. I know, so I was like 10 when I graduated, you could say it. And I'm also an authenticity teacher, speaker, and coach. And there's a reason why I do what I do now, because that's my mainstay of my business. My business is Align Yourself, Inc., and I teach workshops on mindfulness and transformation because, and I'm speaking today on depression and mental health and stress, because I had a very long-term problem with depression since I was 15 years old. And I actually transformed myself at age 45. So I'm 51 now. I was almost 46, hitting my rock bottom place and hitting the lowest point in my life, suicide level depression. And I transformed myself, and I no longer I don't have the depression issues anymore. And that's what I do now, is teach people how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I got this down. I do this all the time, so I've got this down pretty well. So let's see. Oh
gosh, the pressure is on now. It better work.
Okay. So I just want to preface something by saying that Lisa and Evener and Sharon and Charisse, like what the service they have to offer, or the product they're selling. If you notice, there's a common theme, and it is accountability. And depression is a very complicated beast. There's a lot of reasons why people have depression, and some of it is a chemical imbalance, which requires medication. So I want to make sure that you know that I'm not saying, they're going to say, well, that lady said, I could do it this way and I don't have to take my meds. Not saying that. I'm going to be really clear about that. So it is a conversation between your doctor, you, and anybody else that you feel is going to empower you. So this is just one take, but it's a really good consideration based on my own experiences and those that I've coached in the last 5 years, or about almost 5 years now. So, with regards to depression, we are stronger than we believe ourselves to be. And I'm just going to read this. You can read it along with me, but this is just a typical definition. It's a mental health disorder characterized by persistently depressed mood or loss of interest in activities causing significant impairment in everyday life, caused by a combination of genetic, biological, environmental, and psychological factors. Now, when you think about genetics, it's like, oh my gosh, it's inherited. And we do know that exists. But we can also go a step further and say that there's something called epigenetics, where science has shown that epigenetics, we can literally change our DNA. But again, I don't have that much time, so I'm not going to get into that conversation. But I want you to really focus on the environmental and the psychological factors, as well as the biological factors, because you can do things and make changes, lifestyle changes, to help assist the biological piece. Like you can hydrate yourself more, you can eat a clean diet, and then the psychological factor, you can get your diagnostic testing. Cardiovascular disease actually is associated with depression. So maybe it's not depression, maybe it's cardiovascular disease. So you're going to want to go to see Evener and get one of the tests done. So it is a complicated thing here, that depression. And when you look at the statistics, 17.3 million adults age 18 or older in the US experienced at least one major depressive episode in the last year. And these stats are from 2017, and they do not include teenagers. And when we look at this past year, the depression rates, I was looking at some of the rates that they were saying. They were like saying it increased like 92%. But I looked at that particular study, and the amount of people that they surveyed wasn't really that many. So I didn't really want to use that type. That's a really big statistic, 92% increase. So I don't know how accurate that one, but we can all agree that we've had a lot of depression in this past year. And a lot of it stemmed from the, the lack of knowing what was going to happen, the uncertainty, and also the isolation. Okay. And so there's so many pieces that are in the mix of depression, and understanding yourself and understanding the pieces will allow you to get to a better level or even get past it like I did. So I personally believe, and again, I preface saying that I personally believe that a major player in depression is our inability to do the following. So it's inability to be true to ourselves. It's an inability to be comfortable with who we are, to stand up for ourselves, to walk the path of our choosing, manage stress, create healthy boundaries. And this is really, really important because, and one more I forgot, and be authentically us. And that was really what happened with me, that I spent most of my adult life just not knowing who I was, thinking that I should be this, or I'm shitted on myself all the time, and thinking that I should be something else that other people thought I should be or said I should be, instead of really taking this deep, hard look at myself and saying, what do I love about myself and what don't I like that I can change? And it took me to hit that low point to get to that level to completely transform myself. And I am grateful for that horrible situation, because that was the game changer for me. And that wasn't my first depressive episode. It was my second, but it was by far the worst one I'd ever had. I had another one when I was in my 20s. So this was the one that shifted me. And so that's what changed my life, and it changed my business. When we believe we have no choice, we feel absolutely stuck. And with that comes depression. And so I want you to sort of let that resonate with you for a little bit, that when you really think about, if you're not feeling whole, and if you do feel like you have depression or you've been diagnosed with depression, look beyond just the chemical imbalance. If you're on medications, look beyond that. Think about your life, okay? And think about, do I feel like I'm stuck? Do I feel like I don't have a choice? So here's what I want you to do. And I want you to take a picture of this slide. I want you to ask yourself the following questions. Am I living, and do this sometime this weekend, okay? Am I living the life of my choosing? Am I living the life that I want to live? Do I feel stuck? Do I feel my choices are limited? What is within my control and what is not within my control? Okay. And once you start answering these questions, and I mean answer them, go deep, be honest. Nobody else has to see this unless you want to share this. But the only way that we get to the real deep stuff within us is to be 100% true to our word and ourself and our spirit and our soul.
Awesome.
And then be accountable to that. Okay. And I'm almost done. So here's what you can do. And I want you to take a picture of this. I could easily go longer on this, but I don't have the time, but I want you to sort of let it just sink in. And if you need any further information, I'll leave my contact information. So honor yourself, love yourself. And I know that's hard when you're depressed. Know you are worth it. Practice self-care, practice mindfulness, cut toxic people out, create a supportive tribe like the angels that work here. Find a mentor or coach, work with a therapist, get away from your environment, whether it's short-term or like long-term, that's it. Bring joy, laughter, and love into your life. And my thing for you, and I'll put this back up and I'm going to put this in the chat, but I'm going to give you some tools to help you get on your way, to answer more questions, to help reduce your stress levels, to bring your mindfulness practice into play. So I give you ideas, things that you want to think about, writing exercises, all for you to just better yourself and one up yourself.
Okay, wonderful, Dr. Lori. Thank you so much for that. I feel like I need to take a trip to Connecticut and get on your chiropractic table and then move to the mental health couch and have you make me all better. So that was wonderful, Dr. Lori. I appreciate that. I think a question that our audience may have is if they have a family member or a loved one that is going through depression, but the person doesn't know that, what signs can they look for that will help them say, hey, you know, I think you're depressed, to the other person?
So for women, it's when you think of depression, most people think sadness, you know, they're not motivated. They're very weepy. They're tired all the time. That's really common with women. Not wanting to eat, weight gain, weight loss for no significant reason, especially if you've got checked with other things like blood work and stuff. For men, it's interesting. Men get irritable, they get angry. So they're not actually sad. And sometimes people misinterpret that and think that's just their personality. They're just going through something when actually it's depression.
Very good. Thank you. I hope that was helpful to everyone. Thank you, Dr. Lori.